time to get in the huddle with your host, Charles Brodge Ritchie, here on the Mad Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Roney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
Select linebacker Hitchens.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition, yet again, of the Mad Steel Podcast here with, of course, yours truly, Charles Brodge Ritchie. And that concludes the 2020 virtual NFL draft this year. I'd like to get your comments, reactions, thoughts on this year's draft of the Pittsburgh Steelers, how they did. And outside the Steelers, who you guys feel like had the favorable draft this year, who had the most successful picks, and aside from them, do the Ravens, do they look like they're pointing together a championship caliber team this year around pieces with Lamar Jackson? All that and much more we're getting ready to dive into here in just a second. The Steelers did have 6 picks altogether. Just to recap, as they're finished, had a lot more signings from the XFL, which really surprised the Steelers this year. And according to Missy Matthews, one of the reports is there ain't going to be as much undrafted free agents as usual, like it is with everything that went down. So we're going to have a little bit more in-depth analysis here in just a second, but I want to get your thoughts throughout the show. If you guys want to call in or send me a text, the number, if you guys want to reach it, is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Brodge Ritchie, at Masteel CGR. Instagram, it's Masteel Nation. At OnDeck CSR, my YouTube channel, Masteel Podcast. And then you can show On Deck that if any of you tuned in earlier today, which was on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, you can check me out on Mixcloud at Charles Brodge Ritchie, which I'm usually hosting with my co-host, Reese the Ruler, DJ Coleman. Check him out, another up-and-coming stud in the broadcast industry. And then you can also check us out, and myself included, on Anchor and Spotify, Crunch Time with Charles Brodge Ritchie. And I got to tell you, this draft right here, I'm going to say this. I'm going to give this overall, it's been a decent draft. Got some pretty good players in here. I got one out of 6 right so far this one, and the one I'm referring to is their 6th-round draft pick, Antoine Brooks, safety in the 6th round, like I just mentioned, and the Steelers got him right there, and I think that's definitely some good quality depth right there. He comes out of Maryland, 6.29 combine grade. You got him and Chase Claypool with combine grades with 6 or above, which is usually good for a starter right there. I thought that was very encouraging right there. I do feel like the Steelers were their draft position that they were in this year, and mainly because when you decide to go for a guy like Mika Fitzpatrick, which he was worth the gamble, no doubt about it. I'm not criticizing him by any means, but you have to realize there's going to be some sort of price to pay, and what's going to be you're going to be bargaining for. And guess what? I mean, they didn't have the favorable spots. I mean, in these rounds, really look at it. I mean, there was a lot of teams that are ahead of them. The Ravens definitely got some players in there too. I mean, when you look at it, and I just feel like the Steelers, I feel like they did do everything they could. I mean, hey, I mean, this is the price you pay. I mean, they were like not really in the top 10 of each of these rounds. You really think about it. But I mean, when you're like that high in those rounds right there, I guess this kind of comes with the territory for what you're going to expect. And like I said, I really feel like they did a phenomenal job. I don't know about anyone else, but I really enjoyed this year's draft. And I got to tell you, I got Fernando Curly Sanders on here right now. I loved all the Steelers draft. Very good right there. I want to tell you, which was your favorite pick out of all the picks here, Fernando? I'd like to know. I mean, which one do you really feel like knocked your socks off in this year's draft? So I got to tell you, I think the runaway answer a lot of people will be looking at. I think probably a lot of people may be getting caught up in the notion of the 6'4" wide receiver Chase Claypool, another Martavis Bryant type size right there, and close to about as Plaxico Burress size. Remember, Plaxico Burress was 6'5" when Ben came in his rookie year. So I think that's going to be an interesting challenge right there. Definitely got to see how much more pressure to be on Juju Smith-Schuster. We'll find out. Wasn't mainly because he was without Ben Roethlisberger and due to the injuries he had. Only time will tell. But I tell you what, when you have a big-sized receiver like that, I'm thinking like maybe some like definitely not only deep ball passes, but some crucial touchdown passes. I'd be interested to see how he's been able to develop in virtual OTAs, because that's right there. Mike Tomlin's definitely expressing concern right there. What's going to be the biggest challenge right there is not being able to be with them in person. I think that's going to affect a lot of teams, including the Steelers in some ways. I'm not so sure how much the impact, but I mean, with all the stay-at-home thing and the communication, they definitely feel like they did their homework on a lot of guys. They're able to communicate well. I mean, Kim and Colbert, I really feel like did a phenomenal job as best they could. And in life, you're not always going to be dealt with the top hand, but I do feel like you got to deal with the cards that are dealt to you, and they sure enough did that in my eyes. And don't get me wrong, I think there was definitely some improvements. I just feel like the running game, for the way I look at it, could have been much better. They had opportunities, I think, in this draft to get some decent quality running backs. I mean, over there overall, because your first pick didn't come on until like the second round, which was the 49th pick overall in this draft. So you got Chase Claypool, which is a very damn good one. I remember hearing before the second and third round draft started, I was listening to Andrew Phillips, 937 The Fan. He made a proposition too. Remember, you got a guy, Leonard Fournette, who's floating around there with the Jaguars, who was listening for some trade offers. And the proposal was that should the Steelers trade away their 49th pick and get the 73rd pick overall, which would be an extra third-round pick, but it'd still be only one pick in the top 100, no matter how you look at it. And I chose to say no, but for a lot of you who took the time, I want to say thank you very much. And here are the results of the Twitter polls that went into last night. 54.5 said yes, while 45.5 said no. So clearly, Edge, a lot of people wanted to see them get the running back with the extra third. More than likely, he probably wouldn't have been able to get a guy like Chase Claypool, who I think could be a phenomenal target size right here in the red zone. And I mean, you make the sacrifice and you bite the bullet, the way I look at it. So I just feel like the run game, that's the only part I was toying with in this draft, because you have the Ravens, who, which reasonably, I mean, in this draft, I mean, they were able to get like in here for this time. They got J.K. Dobbins, but still, the Steelers had a chance to get him. Let's remember. I mean, they couldn't get Jonathan Taylor at all. I mean, he was selected by the Indianapolis Colts, which they received from the Cleveland Browns right there. They got him out of Wisconsin. And then, of course, too, so since they decided to get Chase Claypool, and then you had like another running back here, I mean, later on in this draft, guess what happened? The third round, too. Zach Moss, I believe, he got selected somewhere here. So the Steelers missed out on him, which I thought was that was one of the guys who I would had on my draft board. He got picked up by the Buffalo Bills in the third round of this draft, which was the 22nd overall pick in the third round. So I feel like the running back, they could have did better. I saw the receivers that were out there. I just still felt like he had like more of a legitimate shot at running back than he did receiver. And I just feel like guys like James Conner, Jalen Samuels, Benny Snell, we still got to give a little bit more of a fair shake here. Only time will still tell. You see how he does when he gets like multiple back-to-back carries. I think he had like about 50 carries in 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Benny Snell, who's still going to be an interesting project with the Steelers in his football career. I mean, if he's I'm not sure if he's going to be there long term to last year, and I just be really interested to see what's going to entail for him. So again, if you guys want to just chime in real quickly, share your comments real quick. Again, you guys can dial or text in. It's 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. I can follow on my social media on Twitter and on Instagram at Prodigy Richie, at Masteel CJR, at Masteel Nation, at On Deck CSR, my YouTube channel, which I'm streaming live off on right now, which is Masteel Podcast. And then you can also check me out on Mixcloud, Charles Prodigy Richie, and on Anchor and Spotify, Crunch Time with Charles. I view it. Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to say it felt anywhere like 2018. I thought 2018 was this point. The decent one that was selected, I mean, in that draft was Terrell Edmunds, who I felt like did a phenomenal rookie year. I mean, he kind of took a little bit of a step backwards, I think, some ways in the second year. And I got Fernando here saying, I love defense. I really wanted another cornerback. Also, the Trey brothers, my guy here, running back from Maryland here. And I think you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony McFarland right here. Had 5.98 grade average. I thought he was okay. I'm not going to lie to you. I think they could have done much better because, like I said, you had your opportunity to add a guy like J.K. Dobbins. Ravens ended up getting him right there. With McFarland, here's a report on him. He has good bursts through the hole and around the corner. He has a second gear to pull away, and when he gets a crease, McFarland is a tough runner who fights for yards after contact and flashes good finishing power. He has solid ball skills as a threat after the catch. I think that was okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was horrible, but I just felt like they had more better opportunities. I think they kind of squandered a little bit that. I really feel like running back should have been higher priority, or it's going to be receiver. I just feel like they struck out on that one in this draft. Now you're just basically you're just selling for backup quality backs, and that I have a little bit of a problem with because you don't want to be going through another season again where you'd be splitting up, sharing the runs in this type of offense, trying to replace the numbers of guys that you lost. I mean, guys like Le'Veon Bell and your wide receiver, Antonio Brown. You got to be careful with that. You want, like I said, it's important to have a horse that you can ride in those crunch time moments. I don't mind having a third down back every now and then, but you want someone to be your ball carrier throughout like crucial moments where you grind out first downs and just help chew away at the clock. And just someone who could also be a multi-threat, a receiver. It is just so highly important these days. You just don't want to pass that up. And I just feel, I mean, going in this year, I mean, it's got to be a more better offensive game plan than what they got. And I gotta believe the pressure's gotta be on for a guy like Randy Fichtner as a quarterback. And then what about Matt Canada? How's he gonna do? I mean, with a quarterback right there. I mean, like Mason Rudolph. Is Mason Rudolph even tough enough to handle like his NFL career? I mean, I heard a couple of people. I was chatting out with some friends yesterday. I want to give a big shout out to Rob Morey last night. A friend of mine. Thanks so much for doing the Zoom video call yesterday. Had a fun time with you, boss. Watching the second and third round draft. It was an awesome time. Sorry I had to bail out a little early, but those are the things you have to think about here. I mean, Rudolph, I'm not so sure, and I agree, he's not really proven that he's mentally prepared to handle a tough NFL career with the criticism, especially when you got into like the racism part. I mean, with Myles Garrett, either way you slice it, I mean, I just feel like he's just kind of reacting the wrong way in certain areas. He's a little shook up. I mean, if that's one thing that's going to bother him, what's going to happen when something much worse, like someone in the media, happens? Is he going to be a ticking time bomb where we got to worry about a guy like him? I don't mean to talk negatively about a guy, but you have to put all that stuff on the table. And as I always say, when you have a person in the career of football, you want to make sure you're showing a better mental presence, the way you can handle situations. That's always going to be watched in the life of an athlete in a lot of people's eyes. And I think that's just very important here. But like I said, I do feel like Tomlin does raise an interesting point. How bothered are you guys by the fact, I mean, due with the COVID-19, I know it's affecting a lot of people around the world, including all sports leagues. But when you look at a team like the Steelers right now, just doing these workouts from home, how you guys feel about that? I mean, do you also – I got a crazy proposition I want to bring up real quick. I want to ask you something here. Because I know like leagues like where it's like basketball and hockey right now, we're trying ways to like scratch tooth and nail to the finish line, trying to get their season going. And they still want to have like a finish. And Major League Baseball is going to try and see if they could squeeze into the season somehow, splitting off at hotels. But I heard this from 93.7 The Fan a couple weeks ago. And I think it was by Chris Muller, who's a co-host of the Paulie Miller Show with Andrew Filipponi. I think he had a guest on. He was showing with video game sports. What do you guys think of the idea of having those sports leagues finish out on a video game platform? I don't mean it sounds silly, but I mean at the same time, it's just like, you want to finish that bad. You really need to truly have a champion, and you need to have some sort of clear winner and like finish your season somehow. What I suggest, like how you do like on Madden tournaments that you see on TV, you televise those games, and it's going to be played like on a PlayStation Live or somewhere for those games. Even on the NBA League Pass or whatever main games you can see, you can still fit in the announcers. They can do voiceovers from a distance, and you can still televise that way. That would be my one suggestion. Again, I don't mean to sound kabuki-ish, but I really do believe right now, like, what other choice do we need to look into? I think these are some trying times. Are you open to, like, any esports right now where if you really want to get a finish to, like, some of these seasons, will you be willing to open to that? Because football, like I said, it's a long shot chance where a season may not happen. I mean, these are all things to think about. You don't want to be like sleeping on it. But again, you just got to be thinking, don't act like nothing can't happen. I'm just saying you got to be extremely careful here and just keep a tight eye on everything, because a lot of things, everything's on the table. And that's why we got to just think of it in those respects and just can't turn the blind eye. So let's get into some of the other picks. Like I just mentioned, we just went over just a moment ago with Anthony McFarland. I'm kind of interested, too. I wonder if there's any ties to, like, Anthony Booger McFarland, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and Colts player who's now on Monday Night Football. I wonder if there's any family connection. I didn't get a chance to hear anything about that. I wonder if there's any ties in that. I think that'd be a cool trait to hear. But also, too, let's get into another guy, too, right here as we move up here on the Men of Steel podcast. They also got a guard, too, in this draft. So basically, the Steelers, they only ended up with one lineman, which was a guard, I mean, I think they could have done a little bit better than that. I think they kind of slacked up in that one. But you got a guy, Kevin Dotson, out of Louisville right now. And here is the report card on him with Dotson. A 4-year starter, has a nasty disposition and ability to move defenders off the ball in the run game. He's competitive and finds ways to win. And pass pro, even though he has below average length and just adequate athletic ability. His hand placement is inconsistent, and he could do a better job of keeping his hips under him, according to Steve Wunsch of ESPN. And I remember when I talked with Stan Savran about a couple months ago on one of my podcasts, and I don't know if you're listening out there, but I remember him saying, like, if he were the Steelers, he'd like to see him get like a Muller. Guy that could really like just move people at the line of scrimmage and just like a real big dude. Because I got to tell you, the Jets, they got a nice, decent sized one in the first round of this draft. And when I look at it, and in the first round, the Jets, they got a real big beast right here. Let's see. They got Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. That guy had to be like over like 300 plus pounds, man. That guy and the speed that he's got, scary right there. But yeah, those are some people just to name right there in those instances. And like I said, I just feel like the Steelers, they had the unfortunate fate. They're in the positions where they were stretched out in each of the rounds. Not saying that they always are, but they finally did break a curse here in this year's draft. You know what that is? Now, for the first time that they could say for their fate for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm pulling it up right now, so just bear with me here as we look at it. In the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers draft overall selection, they finally get an offensive skilled player aside from a lineman that they finally got since 2008. And the last one they selected with their first pick, that was running back Rashard Mendenhall out of Champaign, Illinois. So finally, Chase Claypool is the guy who breaks that. Even though it's a second-round pick, it's still considered like the very first pick of the draft. Either way, like pretend it was like their first-round pick, even though it wasn't. But I thought right there that was encouraging to see. I mean, they knew they had to go all in with Ben, and they had to make a choice. And it just really just hope, to continue that Ben Roethlisberger continues to make the positive progressions that we're hearing and that he's doing okay. I believe he's doing pain-free, but I mean, only time will tell in that with how he continues to throw the football. I mean, it's just going to be so much way interesting as the season goes along and just hearing how he feels. I mean, how much is he going to feel about his new teammates now? So got some more toys to work with, but like I said, I really just feel like I was disappointed in the run game in my estimation. I feel like they could have done much better in that. That was just one thing I think they should just stay a little bit more aggressive on. They didn't, and here they are. But we'll see as time will go on as we move along. Also, let's get to another guy in here too. Brooks, Antoine Brooks. This is one of the guys who I predicted that the Steelers would get in the 6th round, which I called it, so I got that one right. Hybrid linebacker and safety who moves around the formation. He can offset traffic real well, and he's fast enough to shoot through gaps playing close to the line of scrimmage. He chops the legs out from under ball carriers. His range isn't great, and he's tight in space. He's opportunistic with adequate ball skills, but he's not a ball hawk, according to Steve Wunsch. So let's also, another thing, I also mentioned in this podcast here, we also got some report cards here on the Steelers draft picks from NFL on CBS, and this is from one of the writers who writes on there, Chris Trapasso here. And here's the overall grades that he's got for the Steelers. He gives wide receiver Chase Claypool a B, edge rusher Alex Smith a C, Anthony McFarland an A, Kevin Dotson a B-, Antoine Brooks an A, defensive line Carlos Davis a B+. So when you average that out, that's about like a B grade right there for the draft. I'll give it a B minus, to be honest with you. Like I said, I just highly feel like the running back, that was the thing they needed to correct. They did not do a well enough job. They got to do better at that next time around. I mean, it's here that, and I doubt they're going to want to, lose games in the season, try and move up higher for a better draft pick. They're always going to go with the best available. I always respect that, but they failed at the running game. That's just my take on that. No one could convince me otherwise in that. I mean, like I said, McFarland, not taking anything away from the guy. He's got a very high grade, barely under 6. But you gotta think when you missed an opportunity right there. But at the same time, I'm not complaining with a guy like with Claypool. A guy I'm really excited to see how he does. And then another thing is, too, I mean, when you have this big receiver, too, I'm sure a lot of people are holding their breath. Can he stay out of trouble? That's the biggest thing, no matter what. At the end of the day, as much as we like these guys, the talents they got, you got to still maintain, mental and self-discipline in your career, not to put yourself in jeopardy of missing games, getting suspended. A lot of people, I think, tend to forget that when you have, these products here on here and what they do. I just feel you gotta just prove it all phases of football, your football and your football life, pretty much. So all I just got to say is welcome aboard, welcome to Steeler Nation and the city of Pittsburgh as we get ready for another exciting season for the Black and Gold. As Black and Gold, they'll be going into their 88th season as a franchise. 2 more years will be 90 seasons, which will be in 2022. Also, got a few more comments right now, too. Fernando saying, we don't need another running back. I was mad when we pick a running back, but okay, good pick. Yeah, like I said, I'm just still disagreeing with the running back they selected. I feel like they could have better one earlier on. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, at this point. I mean, it was decent, but I feel like you need to have starter quality here as we take a look. So we'll only find out how that continues to work out and what that'll prove in time as the Steelers move on. Also, too, here's some other reports coming here. According to Dale Lally of DK Pittsburgh Sports, who can be followed at @DLally_PGH, 5 of the Steelers' 6 draft picks were college seniors and older players. The team usually goes for younger players with more upside. Colbert said that was just how things worked out. So I don't know what kind of strategy if that was strategy or what they just tend to like this year, the way I see things. And I'm not so sure what that was going to be, but hey, I mean, if you got a little bit more of an experienced player versus a younger guy, maybe that's a little bit better in the long run. Maybe have someone who's got a lot more instincts, got a lot more street smarts and what to expect. That may not be too bad for them. I think they could, if anything, these are guys who have been grinding it out in their careers, and they got an opportunity to continue to excel better. And only time will tell. We'll find out on that. But I do feel like right now, have some veteran players. I mean, at their age and their college careers, I'm all for it. I want some guys who are going to have good IQ and good know-how and good alertness and instinct and accountability, more importantly. I think that's one thing they've been trying to focus on ever since they had their last big killer bees. And I made a joking comment with a few days ago, Brian DiArdo. I said, you mean to tell me they went from the killer bees to the thriller Ds, in my opinion. That's how it looks like to me. But I will say this about Alex Highsmith. They need a backup quality linebacker. I wasn't too pleased with it Friday night, but it did answer some depth questions. So now you got some guys in there. Maybe you could train this guy, mold this guy. I heard a couple comments, I think, from Tomlin or Colbert. They didn't believe he had his potential just yet. So only time will tell how that's going to translate into anything or what happens. But I'd just be real interested to see how much he's going to be. The word I get, he's pretty much like an improved version of Anthony Chickalow, the way it sounds like to me. And when you piece this all together, I think a guy like him could definitely do wonders for them, and we'll see how that goes. And I mean, those are just my thoughts, my reactions on this. But anyway, how did everybody get to enjoy the draft? What was your reaction to it? Did you guys like the way they produced it? Like, what'd you think? I thought it was pretty freaking cool the way they did it. I don't know even if they got to do that again next year when everything's back normal. I'm fine with guys not having to worry about going on stage in person, just doing it from their homes and televising that way. I like it that way. And I gotta tell you, I feel like right now, for this situation here, it's not a bad idea to look at. But I will say this for right now. It was they knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. They really did. And I just feel like right now what they did, everything that's been happening, all the craziness here, they really just they killed it. And right now, I mean, let's see how that continues to work out. I would not mind seeing more virtual drafts like this in the future. I don't know about anyone else. I don't think it's like necessary now to see guys come out with the commissioner. I like the fact that Commissioner Roger Goodell embraced the fact that, you know what, people are either going to cheer or they're going to boo him. He knows a lot of people boo him throughout the NFL, including with some of the controversial decisions he's made. I thought that was very sporty of him right there. And he really got into it with a lot of fans. I think he deserves a lot of credit, in my opinion. He really does. And just a lot of the donations with the Tankathon that's been going on to help combat the diseases and all the efforts and supports. My praise goes out to a lot of you folks right there. That's some great stuff right there. And also, too, I want to say some continued prayers, love, and shouts to my people at Durkin's Tavern and the people in Wrigleyville and Lincoln Park, where I usually go hang out. Hope you guys are doing safe. I hope you and your families doing great and being safe and more happy right now. I know there's a lot of scary stuff out there coming up. Just want to wish you guys all the best of luck. Hopefully everything continues to work itself out for you guys. Everything will find a way to work itself out. Like I said, you guys are with me in my prayers. Enjoy seeing you guys there on a regular basis as we did before this Callahan. Love, prayers, love, and thoughts are with you guys. I wish you absolutely all nothing but the best during this time. And I hope you guys right now are safe and just find a way to just be safe, more importantly. And we'll get to this, and this thing will get cured somehow. I don't know how, but I believe things will find a way to iron out, and we'll get there. Also here, too, on the Metastiel podcast, Kevin Colbert did say, like I mentioned earlier, he doesn't expect to sign many undrafted rookies, but a lot of roster spots with XFL guys. So I thought that was very cool right there in itself. And also, too, as mentioned by Steelers writer Teresa Varley, who we followed on social media and on Twitter at Teresa_Varley. I mean, like I said, it's going to be challenging getting the young players adapted with virtual workouts. Tomlin, he was really comfortable throughout the week of how they executed the draft and gives credit to Kevin Colbert and his staff for being so prepared. I mean, you also got to think of guys, too, on the Steelers. When you think of everybody in the organization that they all had to deal with, I mean, aside from guys like Kevin Colbert, Omar Khan, you also have in here, too, as far as one of the scouting people in here. Well, I give a big shout out to the scouts who are always working their butts off trying to make this team go through here. And one of the biggest right-handed man in the scout areas is Brandon Hunt. He's a pro scouting coordinator. And you also got Phil Kreidler, who's a college scouting coordinator. Rick Reprish, senior assistant college scouting. Mark Bruner, Mike Butler, Dan Colbert, Mark Gorsak, and much more. So, gentlemen, right there, you guys definitely deserve a congratulations right there. See how these guys pan out. Definitely very excited to see how that's going to translate into another season of Steelers football once things do get back to normal throughout these times. And I just really heart's racing right now. I think it's definitely got a lot of stuff to be reached. I mean, we're just only hitting the iron right now, if you ask me, and see how that continues to translate. But yeah, so now let's get ready to go into some fair or foul right here on this special edition of Man Steel podcast with me, Charles Pride Ritchie here. Also host of On Deck on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Steelers failed at running back. Fair or foul? I will say fair. You need a starting quality. Not someone who's going to wait a couple years. Adam McFarland, I think, is good. But I think they settled. They passed on a guy like Dobbins when they had a chance earlier. Getting Jonathan Taylor, that was out of their hands. That wasn't going to happen. They already got beat out on Zach Moss by the Buffalo Bills. You had some other good backs in here, too. I mean, in this draft, that were taken. We also look at it. I mean, look at some of the running backs here that I'm referring to. I mean, that they could have snatched up as we look at it. I think LaMichael, Perine of Florida, SEC, Joshua Kelly. I think LaMichael Perine is probably like the last going, but then again, he's at the same level of like McFarland. So I think that they're all right in there. I'm a little salty on that area, so don't mind me. But I definitely feel like, I mean, as long as you got a guy like Kevin Colbert around, that's always going to be good fortunes, I think, for the Steelers. You still got stability in the front office, and they find ways to exhaust all their options as far as like talent, evaluators, and bringing some guys that could contribute as a Steeler. I think they always just do a phenomenal job in that. I just cannot let that go, and I cannot say that enough. The only question is, I'm really interested to see how much Chase Claypool, if he develops, if he learns right, and how fast he going to pick up in his career with the Steelers and everything, is how elusive can he be? And so can he also be like a competitive, real good competition and pressure the guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. James Washington, we're not really too sure, how much of the surface he's yet to scratch. I mean, he's been on a second-team All-Pro this year, which is phenomenal. But, another thing about this guy with Chase Claypool, I believe he also helped out on some special teams, too. Claypool, he led his team in kickoff coverage and punt coverage tackles in 2017. And let's take a look at those numbers right there by Chase Claypool, as a matter of fact, for this guy. And the numbers that I think they're referring to, I'm trying to see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much on it, but yeah, I'd be interested in that. I'd really be interested, like, how much he could do. I like to have the fact where you have, like, dynamic guys, not just catching the ball, but just returning. And then and like I said, Fernando, taking a chance with Fitzpatrick, that was wise. I don't care what anyone says, that was worth it. It paid off in huge dividends for them. So let's go to fair or foul topic number 2. Outside the Steelers in their division, the Ravens had the better draft. I'm going to say fair on that one right now. I really do think so. The Ravens got some good players here. Look at these guys real quick over here. You look at inside linebacker, Patrick Queen right there. Solid, phenomenal grade here in this draft. This guy right here who, his career, he has picked up at least 131 total tackles, can pick off the ball, got a high value grade right there. He's got potential right now in his grading skill, become a Pro Bowl caliber player. He's going to be sweet for that team. Then you also look at some of the other guys, too, on here. Like I said, you also got J.K. Dobbins. You got Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Malik Harrison. And then you also got some good offensive linemen to help protect a guy like Lamar Jackson. So they're doing a good job. They had 10 picks altogether. I give them a solid B+ for this year. And you got to believe right there, I mean, having that early football exit against like a team like the Titans, it's got to make them feel salty for the second straight year, but more so this year than ever, because the season before that, you took over a guy from Joe Flacco and you had a stretch run. Then once you started to figure out the pass game, which I think he did a phenomenal job doing this year, came up short. The thing is, at the end of the day, with a guy like Lamar Jackson, he's got to prove that he can deliver on big stages and big playoff games, comfort behind football. That's what he needs to do. I think that's the biggest thing he needs to learn to overcome. If he could do that, lights out. I mean, obviously he's been getting an early comparison to a guy like Michael Vick, but still, this guy right here, he is definitely the guy that people want to watch and line up for on their radars. I got to believe he's got to come back a lot more hungrier going into this season, correcting some stuff here as we look at. And guy who feels like it's unfinished business. And I got to agree. Let's go fair or foul topic number 3. B- for the Steelers in this draft. B+, what would you guys say? I say B-. What do you guys think of that? I'm definitely sticking to what I said. B- here. Like I said, it wasn't necessarily the prettiest of drafts, but I think they did enough. I think they did a very good job considering the limitations they had to deal with. They put up with a lot of stuff here, and I'd be real interested to see what they do. Because remember, around this time, if things did not get out of hand with this virus, this Monday would have been OTAs. So definitely got a lot of unanswered questions, but I think they did good. And only time will tell to see how these guys develop right here later down the road as far as like big-time players for this organization. And that's going to call a close to this edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. I want to just say thank you for those of you who actually took the time to join in. Again, the number I can be reached at, as always, for next time going forward is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. I'll be followed on Twitter at Prodigy Richie, at Men of Steel CGR, at OnDeckCSR. Same thing for Instagram, with the exception of Men of Steel Podcast is at Men of Steel Nation. And then my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast. And you can also, for all the latest Men of Steel Podcast and On Deck shows, you can also follow me on Mixcloud, Charles Prodigy Richie. And you can also hear my shows on Anchor and Spotify. Crunch Time with Charles Prodigy Richie. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I got 'em.